Good evening, family. My name is Jamie, very grateful, recovered alcoholic, and welcome to the Lewisburg Primary Purpose Big Book Studies Foundations meeting. For those of you who have never been to a Foundations meeting before, what this is about, it is a hopscotch through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It takes about 45 minutes for Trish and I to do it as a presentation, and then we'll open up for questions and answers or your experience with the work. It focuses primarily on step one, but it takes us all through the book, all through the steps and the prayers and the promises and everything, and it shows us where they are. It's really good for a newcomer, because when they get to Alcoholics Anonymous, they have no clue what to expect. But it's also really good for those of us who work with newcomers to give us some hot spots in the book to be able to help them. So Kevin and Art are going to be our readers tonight, and the rest of you, if you have a big book in front of you and you want to open it up and follow along and read as we go along with them, we'll give you time to get to the pages. It will be very, very good. And Trish is going to share our set-aside prayer, and we'll get it kicked off.
Here we go. God, please set aside everything I think I know about myself. The 12 steps, the big book, the meetings, my disease. But most especially, God, please set aside everything I think I know about you, so that I may have an open mind and a new experience with all these things. Please let me see the truth.
And by the way, if any of you got a notepad and want to take notes or anything, if you don't have your big book, some of these page numbers might be helpful to you. So, let me get back to my script page, Trish.
Yeah, you skipped the paragraph, but that's okay.
I didn't even read that. I was just explaining it, Lucy. Just explaining it. You want to do the preamble?
I just did the prayer, but sure, I'll do the preamble.
Okay, I'll do the preamble. We're going to segue. Hi, family. Still Jamie, still an alcoholic. Our AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. So you get the mission statement.
Hey, in our group's mission statement, to carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous through our group, to carry the message of the Big Book to treated and untreated alcoholics, and to help them find the spiritual solution outlined in our basic text and join the first 100 to become recovered. There is no cure for alcoholism, but we can become recovered with the AA book and 1940s style Big Book sponsorship. That is the purpose of this group. May you join us on the road of happy destiny.
Okay. And you
Red, do you want red or do you want blue?
You want me to do red? You want to switch it up tonight?
Don't care.
Okay, then you get that final part of the question.
Okay.
So, here we go. From the preface, because this book has become the basic text of our society and has helped such a large number of alcoholic men and women to recover, there exists a strong sentiment against any radical changes being made in it. Therefore, The first portion of this volume describing the AA program has been left largely untouched.
We want them to know what alcoholism is, what the solution is, and how to take the action that is necessary to avoid death or insanity by drinking, i.e., to get from the problem to the solution.
And Art and Kevin, it's about time for you guys to read, so if both of you could unmute and just stay unmuted and until we're done with you, dudes, until we're done with you. Kevin, we're going to kick it off with you. Now let's turn to the foreword to the first edition on page XIII, first published in 1935 and was introduced by stating, will you read that first paragraph and then we'll go back and dissect it.
Talk about starting with nightmare?
Nope. It's page XXI, the foreword to the first edition.
Oh, I got XII. Alright, hang on a second.
XIII.
I, or if you're a pirate, it's R.
These pages are too confusing for me.
That's okay. It says forward to the first edition right at the top of it. Just read that first paragraph.
Oh, okay. That's simple. Hang on a minute. I went too far. Here we go. The foreword as it appeared on the first printing of the first edition in 1939. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person, and besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all.
Okay, very good. Now keep your page open to that book because we're going to bounce back and forth between you and Art, and we're going to break this paragraph down. Kevin, I'm going to come right back to you and just read that first line, that first sentence.
We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body.
Thank you. The first sentence tells us who authored the basic text for Alcoholics Anonymous.
And Art, please read the second sentence.
Of that first paragraph?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we're breaking the first paragraph down.
To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book.
The second sentence tells us why they went to the trouble to publish the basic text.
Now, Kevin, read the third line, please.
For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary.
The third sentence suggests that the big book is all we will need to be successful in sobriety.
And Art, please read the fourth and fifth lines, please. So 2 sentences.
We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person.
Thank you. The fourth and fifth sentences tell us that the big book is also for those who care about us.
And Kevin, read the sixth line, please.
And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages to all.
The sixth sentence is supported by the fact that the big book has given birth to over 200 anonymous fellowships that have nothing to do with drinking.
So our Roman numeral page numbers, when we refer to them, will be from the 4th edition. If you happen to be using a 3rd edition, you will be going 1 page earlier. So on page XIV, it states The only requirement for membership is an honest desire to stop drinking, traditions 3 and 5. We have lost our understanding of being honest by the time we decide to come to AA, so that requirement has been eliminated. But if a person is serious about living sober, they better have an honest desire to stop drinking and be willing to follow the directions in the Big Book.
And since this is the first time for you guys, we'll come back to you for more reading in a couple of minutes after we say all this other good stuff that's not in your books. The foreword to the second edition gives a historical account of the first 20 years of our history, how Bill found Dr. Bob, how they got busy looking for other alcoholics to try to help, how their success attracted the attention of some leading citizens, how we received some very favorable publicity, the Jack Alexander article, and how the onslaught of new prospects forced Bill to develop the traditions and then hammer out this statement on page XX, which is from the foreword to the second edition.
Of alcoholics who came to AA and really tried, 50% got sober at once and remained that way. 25% sobered up after some relapses, and among the remainder of those who stayed on with AA showed improvement. Other thousands came to a few AA meetings at first and decided they didn't want the program. The great numbers of these, about 2 out of 3, began to return as time passed. So about 75% plus got sober and remained that way. In the early 1940s, the Cleveland groups were running at a 92% success rate due to using Big Book sponsorship.
And that's what we do in this group, is Big Book sponsorship. Then Bill published the 12 and 12 in 1953. These are all real interesting numbers too. Bill published the 12 and 12 in 1953. And by 1965, our success rate had dropped to 50%. Unfortunately, many newcomers are encouraged to try and use the 12 and 12 as their source of directions. Bill W. was the principal author of the Big Book and the sole author of the 12 and 12. On page 17 of the 12 and 12, Bill stated, "The Book of Alcoholics Anonymous became the basic text of the fellowship and still is. The present volume proposes to broaden and deepen the understanding of the 12 steps as first written in the earlier work." By saying this, Bill indicates that the directions for the 12 steps are only in the Big Book, not the 12 and 12. And I'll just give a personal note there. The 12 steps in the 12 and 12 is just Bill's personal experience with them, not the first 100s.
Then in the late 60s, we started discussion participation meetings that failed to stick to our singleness of purpose. So by 1980, we had dropped to 33%. The result of which was we started ignoring the practice of focusing on our solution, and we drifted into group therapy. For recent years, our success rate has decreased to what appears to be less than 5% for those finding as much as 5 years sobriety.
While there has been a dramatic change in the fellowship, the program has remained unchanged. Consequently, the 4th edition reads the same as the 1st edition.
Now, Art, if you could flip to page 30, please.
And we'll give you guys plenty of time to change. Yeah, Timmy, grab that bug.
Okay?
And if you could read the middle paragraph, 2 sentences that start with "we learned."
We learned that we had to fully concede to our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery.
Thank you. In our heart of hearts, we must know that we are the victims of a killer disease before we can begin recovery.
And Kevin, we are going to return to the doctor's opinion. Here comes a whole lot of Roman numerals. XXV
Oh Lord.
So it's XXBII. Probably a page before where you were before.
Forward to the second edition.
No, hang on. Nope. The first two paragraphs the doctor writes, so it'll start with the subject presented.
XXVII.
XXBII. If you're in a fourth edition.
Let me just flip through all the pages.
A third page in the doctor's opinion.
I'm assuming you have a fourth edition, right?
I do.
Okay.
Got it. Say it again, the what?
The subject presented, read that paragraph there.
We have Alcoholics Anonymous, that one?
Nope.
No.
The subject presented in this book. It's page XXBII.
Oh, okay. Alright, I got you. The subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. I say this after many years' experience as medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country, treating alcoholic and drug addiction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We identify who Dr. Silworth was and how he wound up at Towns Hospital, how his opinion opened the door for recovery. Until we understand a problem, we cannot find a solution. I use an example of walking out to my car, putting the key in the ignition, and the damn thing won't start. Problem. I can sit on my butt and talk about the car not starting until hell freezes over, but that will get me nowhere. I look under the hood and see that the battery cable is corroded. I know what the problem is, so the solution becomes very evident. I need a new battery cable, but that doesn't solve the problem. I still must take the action necessary to obtain a new cable, replace the bad one, and now I'm on my way. Understand the problem, know what the solution is, and then take the action to make the solution a reality.
So now we are going to go, let's see, from the first paragraph on page XXBIII, so it'll be 3 I's, we present the allergy which makes us powerless over alcohol. Art, one sentence, please, starting with we believe.
We believe, and so suggest a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomena of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker.
The phenomenon of craving, which is the manifestation of the allergy.
And Kevin, staying on that same page, going down to the very last paragraph, and that's where we find the initial information regarding the unmanageability. The alcoholic mind that cannot distinguish the truth from the false. And please read the whole paragraph starting with men and women drink.
Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot after a time differentiate the truth from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can again experience the sense of ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks. Drinks which they see others taking with impunity. After they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, and the phenomenon of cravings develop, they pass through the well-known stages of the spree, emerging remorseful with a firm resolution not to drink again. This is repeated over and over unless the person can experience an entire psychic change. There is very little hope of his recovery.
We carefully dissect the whole paragraph. First, what is the effect alcoholic men and women get from drinking alcohol?
Why is it so important that we have this spiritual event occur in our lives? Well, Silkworth said, we drink essentially because we like the effect produced by alcohol. What is the effect an alcoholic gets from drinking? When we alcoholics had a few drinks, we were amazed at the change in the way we thought and the way we felt. A few drinks produced an entire psychic change.
So let's go to page 83 in the Big Book and examine the 9-step promises by beginning each promise with the phrase, when I had a few drinks. Read each line in the first person in past tense. For example, the first promise would be, when I had a few drinks, if I was painstaking about this phase of my development, I would be amazed before I was halfway through. So, Art, are you with us on the promises on page 83?
Yes.
And can you kick us off on the second promise, starting with, when I had a few drinks, I knew. Yeah, I knew a new freedom, but you're putting in front of it, when I had a few drinks.
Gotta find it. I'm still looking at the first one. Okay, when I had a few drinks, we're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness.
Did you?
I did.
And Kevin, I'm sorry, that's still you, Trish.
I don't know.
It's
Kevin,
in
you
blue.
get the
I'm on page 83.
Yes. And you're going to read the third promise. Don't regret the past, but in front of that you're going to add, when I had a few drinks.
I don't know where it is.
It'll be the third one down.
The third paragraph down?
No, the third promise down. Art just did new freedom and new happiness. You'll do the next one.
I don't know where it started at. I don't know where to find it. Sorry, I just...
Out of the page, Kevin.
The last sentence on the page.
The what sentence?
The last full sentence on the page. We will not regret.
We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend...
Oh, that's it. That's it.
But when you read it, in front of the sentence, add the words, when I have a few drinks.
So go back and read it again?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. When I have a few drinks, I will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it.
Did you ever come out of a blackout in a place you hadn't planned on visiting, with people you hadn't planned on being with, and learned you had done some things you sure wish you hadn't done, but because of the guilt and remorse, it was to be a secret, and then go into a bar and have a few drinks and tell a stranger the whole story?
I certainly did. See, this is just where we have a little fun with it by placing when I had a few drinks in front of it. Art, can you take the next one, please?
When we had a few drinks, we'll comprehend the word serenity and we'll know peace.
Did you, too, find that serenity and peace of mind replaced the turmoil with a few drinks?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And Kevin disappeared.
And that's okay. Give it to Art.
Okay. Art, can you take the next one, please?
When we had a few drinks, no matter how far down the scale we've gone, we'll see that our experience can benefit others.
How willing were you to share your life story with a poor drunk who had just had a really bad experience?
Love to talk about my life. Kevin, can you catch up to us? We are at that feeling of uselessness, starting with when I had a few drinks.
Oh, man, sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, got you.
You
When
got-
I had a few drinks, that feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear.
Perfect. With a few drinks, did you feel that you just might really have a purpose in this world and feel sorry for those critters that didn't have what you had, although you just weren't too sure what it was that you had?
Almost every time. And Art, can you take the next one, please?
When we had a few drinks, we will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows.
Did a few drinks make you a little more interested in people, especially of the opposite sex?
Can I buy you a drink, honey? And Kevin, the next one.
When we had a few drinks, self-seeking will slip away.
Did a few drinks make you somewhat generous?
For everyone! That's so gross.
It's your turn, Trish.
Oh, it is. I'm still thinking I'm ready. And Art, if you could take the next one, please.
When we had a few drinks, our whole attitude and outlook on life would change.
Did a few drinks take you from gray, gloomy day to one that was bright and hopeful?
From a shade of brown to rosy pink with just a couple. And Kevin, the next one, please.
When we had a few drinks, fear of people and economic insecurity will leave us.
Did a few drinks, did you enjoy being in the company of people sober?
Leave me alone.
Did a few drinks diminish your concern for your financial difficulties?
How am I going to pay all these bills? I think I better have a couple of drinks to figure it out. Art, please, the next one.
When we had a few drinks, we will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us.
Did you too find that you were able to think much more clearly and wisely with a few drinks?
You bet I had answers to the questions that hadn't even been asked.
The unmanageability is clearly presented in the last sentence of that paragraph.
I will suddenly realize that booze is doing for me what I could not do for myself. So we're done with the promises for right now, but we'll be moving on to something else in a minute.
From the article, Ways to Stop Drinking, you can get some ideas of how we apply the information Dr. Soapworth proposed.
The newcomer is also reminded that they should be mindful of over-the-counter meds such as cough syrup, mouthwash, flavor extracts, etc., and that their health providers should know that they are alcoholics, so the professionals will be mindful for what they prescribe. We emphasize that they themselves are responsible for their sobriety, so be honest with those who have a need to know. We should also all be aware of supplements and the ingredients listed. Just because it says it's healthy doesn't mean it's safe for us. Some of the ingredients may trigger craving. Some supplements do contain alcohol as a soluble base. No matter how long we have been sober, alcohol in any form can be deadly. It can be very easy to over-medicate when self-medicated.
We have now helped the newcomers understand the problem. We may breeze through Bill's story by looking at the events that describe the progression of alcoholism in his life. So, Art and Kevin, flip to page 2, please, and I'll be starting with you, Kevin, so let me know when you're there.
What page was that?
Page 2.
I didn't get it. Page 2?
Page 2. Bill's story.
Page 2.
I'm on page 2.
Okay, so the middle of the first paragraph, about 10 lines down from the top, read one sentence that starts with, though my drinking.
Though my drinking was not yet continuous, it disturbed my life.
Lois is on his ass about his drinking.
And Art, page 3, bottom of the page, last sentence, starts with, I began
To be jittery in the morning.
Bill was beginning to be jittery in the morning.
And Kevin, over to page 5, the first full sentence, beginning with liquor ceased.
Liquor ceased to be a luxury. It became a necessity.
Liquor ceased to be a luxury. It became a necessity. He is lying about his drinking, hiding his bottles, etc.
And staying on page 5, Art, third paragraph, 4 sentences, starting with, then I got a promising. It's in the third paragraph. Then I got a promising business.
Then I went on a prodigious venture.
Right above that. Right above that. It's 4 sentences starting then.
Okay, starting at the beginning of the paragraph. Okay. Then I got a promising business opportunity.
Keep going. 3 more sentences.
Oh, stocks were at the low point of 1932, and I had somehow formed a group of 5. I want to share generously in their profits. Then I went on a prodigious bender, and the chance vanished.
Bill lost an opportunity to make some money because he drank.
And Kevin, the 4th paragraph, or the next paragraph, 4 sentences, but start with, I woke up.
I woke up. This had to be stopped. I saw I could not take so much as one drink. I was through forever. Before midnight.
To never touch another drink.
Art, still on, say, page 5, 5th paragraph, starting with shortly afterward to resolve, please.
Shortly afterward, I came home drunk. There had been no fight. Where had been my high resolve?
Bill came home drunk.
And Kevin, flipping over to page 7, please. The end of the first full paragraph, where it starts out, best of all I met.
First paragraph on page 7?
The end of the first paragraph.
Best of all, I met a kind doctor who explained that though certainly selfish and foolish, I had been seriously ill, bodily and mentally.
Thank you. Bill met Dr. Silkworth and learned what was wrong with him.
And Art, page 8, first paragraph, 4 sentences, starting with quicksand.
This paragraph in my book says little words.
I don't know that it starts with the first paragraph, it's in the first paragraph. 4 sentences, starting with quicksand.
Second sentence, Art.
Are you in a 3rd edition, Art?
No, second edition,
Page 8.
Quicksand stretched around me in all directions. I had met my match. I had been overwhelmed. Alcohol was my master.
Bill surrendered to the problem. Step 1.
And we use the next paragraph to exemplify the simplicity of our program. Could you read the first sentence, please, starting with trembling?
Trembling, I stepped from the hospital, a broken man.
Thank you. And sticking with Kevin, the last sentence of that same paragraph, starting with, I was to know happiness.
I was to know happiness, peace, and usefulness in a way of life that is incredibly more wonderful as time passes.
A wonderful life as the result of having taken the action that Ebby prescribed for him.
And moving on to page 10 and 11. Art, the last paragraph from page 10 into the first paragraph of page 11, when they talked of God.
Mine says with ministers and the world's religion. The last paragraph on 10.
It's going to be somewhere in that last paragraph. It's probably down in the paragraph.
When they talked of a God personal to me, whom with love, superhuman strength, and direction, I became irritated and my mind snapped shut against such a theory. To Christ I consider the certainty of a great man, not too closely followed by those who claimed him. His moral teaching, most excellent for myself, I had adjusted those parts which seemed convenient and not too difficult. The rest I disregarded.
Bill's rebellion at the idea of a spiritual solution, identifying him as a hard-nosed agnostic.
And Kevin, flipping over to page 12, around the middle of the page, the second paragraph, read 2 sentences, please, that start with "my friend suggested."
My friend suggested what then seemed a novel idea. He said, why don't you choose your own conception of God?
The freedom and responsibility we are given to develop an idea of God that we can begin to bet our life on.
We then explain the simplicity of step 2 by the fact that Bill saw his old drinking buddy, who was supposedly in the nut house for alcoholic insanity, sober. Both of them had been powerless over alcohol, but Ebby was sober and Bill was going to die. Ebby had found the power that Bill was unaware of. Ebby gave Bill hope, the beginning of coming to believe. From that hope, Bill finally became willing to try Ebby's plan of action. Again, the idea of step 2.
And Art, on page 13, the first full paragraph, the first sentence, please, starting with "at the hospital."
At the hospital I was separated from alcohol for the last time.
Entering Town's hospital on December 11th, 1934, going into DTs. Taking step 3 on the 3rd day of his sobriety. Ebby visiting Bill in the hospital on the 4th and 5th days to help Bill take the action Ebby had learned to apply to his life, the result of which was a spiritual experience. Bill left the hospital on December 18th, 1934, at the end of 7 days, and lived 36 years without taking another drink. And we are here because of the action that Bill took, not the meetings he attended.
We now identify the meaning of step 1, powerlessness because of the allergy, unmanageability due to the mind cannot remember that we have an allergy. It can only remember the sense of ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks.
Relieving the feeling of restlessness, irritability, and discontentedness.
Therefore, we are powerless over our body and powerless over our mind where alcohol is concerned. We are screwed.
Evan, if you could flip to page 24, please.
Right?
The first full paragraph, the italics or the squiggly lines. Read the whole paragraph, please, starting with "the fact is."
The fact is that most alcoholics, for reason yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink.
And Art, if you could flip to page 43 and go to the last paragraph, starting with "once more."
Once more, the alcoholic at certain times has no effective mental defense against the first drink, except in a few rare cases. Neither he nor any other human being can provide such a defense. His defense must come from a higher power.
And I would like to thank you, both of you gentlemen, for reading tonight. Good job. I'm going to say this before we move on. It's difficult to jump through the book that way. And we could have screen shared the script and you could have read it right off the screen, but we have this belief here. And it's why we don't screen share, because it actually gets you in your book. And that's what we like. And it's the most, us becoming familiar with these places in our big books is going to be probably the most effective way for us to learn it and to be able to help another alcoholic find their solution as well. So we're going to continue, and now we got some other good stuff that you might want to take notes on.
I want to say thank you to Kevin and Art for jumping in also.
Yes.
From the hope of hearing a recovered alcoholic tell their story of what they were like, what happened, and what they're like now, or reading the 44 personal stories in the Big Book, is the beginning of step 2. If lack of power is the problem, then a power greater than ourselves must be the solution. And we see that the recovered alcoholic has found that power. It takes no great mind to see that if lack of power or powerlessness is my problem, then a power greater than myself must be the solution. Once I can see that, I am faced with a very simple decision. Am I or am I not willing to follow the clear-cut directions for recovery? But I need someone who knows how to do this, aka sponsorship.
So the simplicity of step 3 is to turn my will and my life over to the care of God, the God of my understanding. I learn how to turn my will and my life over to this power by taking steps 4 through 7. But I need someone, for example, a sponsor, who has a working knowledge of taking the steps as directed in the Big Book, who can guide me through the process. And I can tell you that happened to me.
To determine if you have made a good choice in sponsors, it is pretty easy to tell. If they suggest that you open your Big Book or offer to read with you from page XI and study to page 43, that is a very good start in diagnosing step 1. These 51 pages will get you ready to see if you are ready to move on. Let's look at the sentence on the first sentence on page 44.
In the preceding chapters, you have learned something of alcoholism. We hope we have made it clear the distinction between the alcoholic and the non-alcoholic.
It tells you why this is so important to be thorough in your study to this point. From this study, we can separate the alcoholic from the non-alcoholic, which is so vital to the success of your group and AA as a whole.
Now, take the test. If when you honestly want to, you find you cannot quit entirely.
How many of you have promised you'd never drink again? It appears you failed to manage that decision, so your life is unmanageable where alcohol is concerned.
Or, if when drinking you have little control over the amount you take.
How many of you cannot start drinking without getting drunk? It would appear that you too are powerless over alcohol. Step 1.
And just for reference, those 2 passages appear on page 44 in the first paragraph. If that is the case, you may be suffering from an illness,
Chronic alcoholism of the hopeless variety,
which only a spiritual experience can conquer.
How many meetings must you attend to have a spiritual experience? Or, how many steps must you take to have this blessed promise become a reality in your life?
Page 44 through page 57 will open the door for you to be able to consider a conception of God, of the God of your understanding.
Page 58 answers that stupid comment we hear too often in meetings. I don't know how it works. The first sentence tells us how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. In other words, we need to follow the clear-cut directions in the Big Book.
The program of Alcoholics Anonymous is a spiritual program. On page 59, we will find the first of several prayers. We ask His protection and care with complete abandon. That's a prayer. There are one or more prayers for each and every step from step 3 through step 12, which reminds us that the God of our understanding is the source of our recovery. We learn to invite Him to be the solution to all our problems.
On page 62, we are told what our real problem is: selfishness and self-centeredness. But we can never see it without some kind of message or method of revealing the truth to us. So we make a decision to do precisely what our sponsor suggests and announce that decision in the prayer presented on page 63. This prayer is the invitation to God to come into our lives.
One of the beautiful things about the Big Book is that it will tell us when to take a step, how to take the step, what the results or promises of having taken the step will be, and provides us with the prayers that make certain we are inviting God, the God of our understanding, to be very involved in our recovery.
The last sentence on page 63 tells us we now have to get busy and take the rest of the steps.
Steps 4 and 5 are diagnostic steps to learn if what they told us on page 62,
selfishness and self-centeredness,
is true for us. The clear-cut directions for step 4 are found from pages 64 through 71, and there are 5 prayers for step 4.
On page 75, we find the clear-cut directions for step 5 and the 2 fifth step prayers.
On page 76, we find the directions for step 6, which is nothing more than a commitment to God that we will become students and practitioners of the rest of the Big Book, and there we will find the 6-step prayer.
Also on page 76, we find the 7-step prayer, which is to be prayed after we have done our part of steps 4 through 6. Now we ask God to please do your part by making me different. This prayer is the completion of the prayer we started on page 63. This is where we find the Amen and finish the prayer. And this is the cycle of 5 steps, which started with the 3rd-step prayer and ends with the 7th-step prayer.
On page 76, we will be most pleased to learn that if we have carefully followed the directions for taking step 4, that step 8 is all but a done deal.
From page 76 to page 83 are the directions for taking steps 9, and the 4 9th-step prayers are there.
Having carefully followed the path, the first 100 laid down for us, we have now had a spiritual awakening or experience and have joined the first 100 as recovered alcoholics. The 9th-step promises describe that blessed event.
On page 64, we take the first action to recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. By the time we get to page 83, we have recovered. We have joined the first 100. We have been given the power that we lack to survive alcoholism. Carefully following the clear-cut directions outlined in just 20 pages of our basic text produces the miracle of recovery.
We are now to start our spiritual growth, and that occurs in steps 10, 11, and 12.
The clear-cut directions for step 10 are contained in the paragraph on page 84, beginning with, "This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we continue to take personal inventory."
A running start for learning how to communicate with God, with the God of your understanding, is very adequately covered on pages 86, 87, and 88.
And we have received the power, it is our primary job to pass that on to the next newcomer God puts in our life. The clear-cut directions for sponsorship are contained in Chapter 7, but you won't find the 12-step prayer until you have reached the last page of the basic text. Ask Him in your morning meditation what you can do each day for the man who is still sick.
There you have it. So utterly simple, yet so garbled in our meetings. I challenge you to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. The simplest guide that I follow in working with others, if it isn't in the big book, they don't need to be exposed to it.
If you're encouraged to wait until you have a better understanding of what our program is about, I have one question for you. How well did you like sex before you tried it? Well, you won't know a damn thing about recovery either until you have taken the action of taking the steps precisely as they were given to us.
And there you have it, folks. That's what a Foundations meeting is. So I hope you enjoyed it, and we are now open for questions, comments, experience with this work. So please feel free to raise your little paws and come on in and share. And we had some other people come in, and we are glad you are here. Thank you. And like I said earlier, folks, we could have screen shared it all, and you would have seen the parts to read. It would have been much easier. But here again, we love the idea of people being in their big books, because what happens if one day there's never another screen share again? What happens if I can't be around another alcoholic or group of alcoholics? I always have the book. So feel free to chime in, folks. Hi, Art. You're unmuted. You want to talk?
Well, I just never muted myself when I was reading. This is kind of jumping back and forth in the book. But it really lays the foundation. And I remember my first introduction to the program itself was when I asked my sponsor, before I had asked him to be my sponsor, but asked him a question, and the answer that he gave me was, well, it's the third step, and I didn't know what he was talking about. So I had to go look it up. And that got me into the habit of looking to the book for answers to my questions. And once he became my sponsor and we talked regularly, I've said this many times, and I thought most of you in this meeting have heard me say it, but he never gave me any what do you call it? Never told me what to do, but rather he showed me how to live. And for me, that was very effective, because I had people telling me all my life what I should do and shouldn't do, and most of them didn't do any of it themselves, so why should I follow their direction? And so this was refreshing, that he just showed me a way of life that was appealing to me. And so when we read chapter 5 in the meetings, And it talks about if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps, okay? I challenge newcomers to stick around long enough to determine what it is that you're supposed to want. Because when I first was introduced to Alcoholics Anonymous, I didn't think we had anything I wanted. And I didn't believe I was an alcoholic. It took me another 3 years of hard experience out there in the drinking world to become convinced. And once that happened, then it gets easier. As long as I was in denial of my alcoholism, I wasn't willing to take any steps to recover. When I got to the point where I could no longer deny the evidence of my life, then I became willing to take another look and see if there's really something here for me or if this is just a fantasy. And what I found was that it definitely was beneficial in my life. And I've been here ever since. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Glad you were able to make it tonight. Who is next?
Jump in. I'm Trish and I'm an alcoholic. And I love the fact that the presentation points out that each one of the prayers from 12 or from 3 to 12 have a prayer, or each one of the steps has a prayer to go with it. But there's so much focus on 3rd step prayer, 7th step prayer, because they're written out so plainly in paragraph form. This is the prayer we said. Good night, Michael. A friend of mine always talks about how every time it says, we ask God, that's a prayer. Like at the end it says, ask Him in your morning meditation. It's one simple line, one short line, not a whole paragraph. But it's still a prayer. And within the first 164 pages, someone said once, in a meeting I go to, we ask God or ask Him is listed 25 or 26 times. So there's little prayers scattered throughout, but I've got to read it to find it. And then once I read it, once I find them, I can incorporate them so easily into my daily life for each one of those steps, not just focusing on 3rd and 7th step prayers, which is all I really heard when I first came in. And now diving deeper into the book, I get to find all those other ones too. Come on in, Tim.
I'm Kevin, I'm an alcoholic. I'll very much like how y'all did that. Made us read from it, because I'll be honest, I've been to big book studies before, and the foreword and Bill's story is never brought up in the readings. And I've been told a million times to read the foreword, and I never have. Just never clicked with me. And I read Bill's story a bunch, but I never felt like I associated with it. Except when y'all made us put those prompts in front of the things that we read, you know. I actually got a lot out of that, even though my kid was beating me up with a pillow, you know. I very much enjoy this, and it's going to make me do another deep dive into Bill's story, this time on my own, and wanting to do it.
Good.
Thanks, Kevin. Hey, hang on just a second, Timmy. Kevin, so I know our Tuesday night Big Book study is in conflict, but we ask questions just like this as we do it. But I'll tell you this, brother. Anytime you have time and you want to call and read the book to me while I'm driving down the road, I'll do the best I can to help you find yourself in it.
Thank you.
Timmy B, where's them little piglets? I'm surprised you ain't got one on each shoulder.
Actually, I have thought about it, and I have been get asked many requests to do so. But here's the problem with that: it usually disturbs the meetings. I tried it once, and we spent the whole time talking about piglets while this thing was trying to wiggle out of my arms and bite my neck.
Good call. Good call.
But if there's ever a few minutes, I wouldn't mind maybe sticking it in a box in maybe the last couple of minutes, maybe next time.
During fellowship.
Yeah. But, it's always a privilege to get on here, and I love you guys so much. Because, being a tough guy, I think I don't need to be pushed. And when you all push me to the point to where I'm aggravated and frustrated and challenged. I love that word, Art. So now I do away with those words like being pushed or whatever, but challenged is a good word. And to get into this book, I usually learn more in an hour and a half we're here at the pickle meeting than I do all day because I'm a talker, and I love it. But just the reading right here, being challenged, it's a guide to living sober. I noticed that during the reading I wrote down some things, and they're almost in chronological order, and it's a guide to living, getting sober, change, knowing my disease, spirituality, which I choose to call God, and then sobriety. I've only been in the program for 18 months, a little over. And I didn't know the difference between being sober and having sobriety. And there's a big difference, a real big difference. Here lately, I've been trying to learn meditation. I'm getting better at it. I'm usually asleep in 7 minutes, but before, when I first started, it was like, man, 1 minute and I snoozed. But now I'm up to 7 minutes. But knowing all these different things, like you just quoted, I don't do it, quote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages that now that, because I'm an overthinker, after this meeting I gotta go back and read because now I'm curious. Have I read it 100 times? Probably. But when you explain it in the depths that you do, that this book is my guide to living, that encouraged me to do so. On the days that I don't, I'm not as happy as the days I do. And I won't lie. When I get on here some nights, I get a little nervous because, of course, my sponsor, my grand sponsor, and my service sponsor is all in one room, and I get nervous as hell. Because, me, I'm an overthinker, I'm an overtalker, and sometimes I say the thing, and the next thing you know, we're spending 40 minutes in the book talking about what I just said. And I love it. I absolutely love it that, especially my sponsor, that he knows when to let me just kind of go on my own and then knows when to put foot to ass. That is actually one of the biggest things that I'm grateful for today. That sometimes, it takes a little bit of patience. Because not everybody's on that same path, but we're all going to the same place, and I love it that I have the opportunity to be 18 months sober and be around people with, many, 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 many years of sobriety. And I ain't gonna lie, I include you, Trish. When I get on here and I see y'all's faces, it just makes my day. It just makes my day. Yeah. I love you little weirdos. And my boy Kevin, I have to say it, man, I'm so glad that you're here, man. Because I know that feeling about going through 100 meetings and getting on here and them teaching me something in 2 or 3 pages and knowing, man, I just read that 40 times and just got a whole different perspective on it. That's what years and years and years of sobriety will do. And I love the fact that, typical people are willing to share that experience. But it looks like I got some reading to do. It looks like page 44, 57, 58, 59, 76, and 83. That'll put me to bedtime to feed the pigs. That's all I got. Thank you. I love each and every one of you.
Thank you, brother. Glad you are with us. Anybody else like to come in and chime in tonight? William or Lisa? LaDonna, Tammy, welcome. Glad to have you. I think it's your first time here. Let me pull.
Yes, I think it's.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I was just looking for a meeting that started at 7:30, and I guess I got in here a little bit early. I used the meeting guide in Oklahoma to bounce around, and the last online meeting was at 9 o'clock, so there wasn't one. So I was like, I got a buddy in Tennessee that comes to my meetings, and so let me click Tennessee. So glad to be here. Sorry I didn't get in here earlier, but I guess I'll be here for 7:30.
Well, so what we've done in that posting is we post all the time zones. It's the same meeting, but we service 4 different time zones. So whatever time zone. So you're in Central Time, being in Oklahoma. So it actually starts at 6:30. But tomorrow night, and Trish posted it in the chat, we have our regular Big Book study, and we very much break down the Big Book just like this. So please feel free to come join us. Trish will put her number in the chat. I'll put my number in the chat, and you can reach out to us anytime as well.
Yeah, Tuesday's my crazy day. I chair a women's meeting in that time frame at the Kelly Club.
Well,
Nice.
that's okay. We have 4 meetings a week, so we'd love to see you anytime.
Sure, thank you.
Absolutely. Lisa, come on in.
Hey everybody, it's I'm an alcoholic. Thank you again for this, Trish and Jamie. Such important stuff. I love the way you do those promises. And I'm sitting here thinking, and all of it is the reason I drank. I wasn't happy. I regretted the past. Couldn't understand why I just kept on picking up something that made me so miserable and caused havoc in my life. I didn't have serenity. I didn't know peace. Kept on going down, kept on getting worse, but kept doing it. The self-pity. All the anything I did, it was wrapped around self. My attitude and outlook stunk. Fear of everything. I didn't know that. I just thought, I was angry. I thought I had justified it. It was justified, so it was okay. No, it still hurt me and everybody else. I didn't know how to handle situations. I'd get angry and lash out, just get crazy. And boy, I wish I did this a lot sooner, but I'm just very, very grateful that, I'm starting to understand, and I love all this, everything tonight is just huge, and how to, and build my relationship with God, and I guess that's it for me, and I'm just, I'm excited for newcomers, keep coming. This is a great meeting, and the Big Books, it's just, it's how we stay sober, I never understood how I kept picking up, I used to go to meetings, but they never talked about this. They never brought up the Big Book, and even someone someone said they never read the Bill story in the Big Book, you know. I've been to a few Big Book meetings before I started with this group a few years back, and nothing clicked like it does now. So I'm just really grateful and wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Hang on just a second, I'm doing something. I just want to point something out, a great fact that I love about this meeting. There's 4 generations of sponsorship here. There's sponsor, sponsee, grand sponsor, and great grand sponsor. And between those 4 people, oh, and another sponsee. So just between those 5 people, there's 126 years just between those 5 people, which I find to be absolutely amazing. It was mentioned that about motivation to go back and do some reading after this. So I'm going to screen share something with you. It's not from this meeting, but it is from something we touched on in this meeting in the pages. Page 62 being one of them. But this is from our 4-step workshop. And here again, this particular group is all about Big Book sponsorship, right? And one alcoholic sitting down taking another alcoholic through the book. So when I'm in a meeting, I read the book as it's written, in the we and the they and the us and the them and so on, right? But when I read it for myself, I read it in the first person. So Trish knows what I am about to do. And let's see. Can you guys see this page? Somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay, so I'm gonna blow it up now. Now, I just wanna run through this. Trish, you wanna segue it with me? And this is how. So this is starting with the writer, the actor, the director. But here's how we read it, and we have come to read it. A Life Based on Self-Will from pages 60 through 62. If my arrangements would only stay put, if only people would do as I wish, the show would be great. Everybody, including me, would be pleased. Life would be wonderful. In trying to make these arrangements, I may be sometimes quite virtuous. I may be kind, considerate, patient, generous, even modest and self-sacrificing. On the other hand, I may be mean, egotistical, selfish, and dishonest. But, as with most humans, I'm more likely to have buried traits.
What happens? The show doesn't go off very well. I begin to think life doesn't treat me right. I decide to exert myself more. I become on the next occasion still more demanding or gracious as the case may be. Still, the play does not suit me. Admitting I may be somewhat at fault, I am sure that other people are more to blame. I become angry, indignant, self-pitying. What is my basic trouble? Am I not really a self-seeker even when trying to be kind? Am I not a victim of the delusion that I can wrest satisfaction and happiness out of this world if only I manage well? Is it not evident to all the rest of the players that these are the things I want? And do not my actions make each of them wish to retaliate, snatching all they can get out of the show? Am I not, even in my best moments, a producer of confusion rather than harmony?
I am selfish, or I am self-centered, egocentric as people like to call it nowadays. I'm like the retired businessman who lolls in the Florida sunshine in the winter complaining about the sad state of the nation. I'm like the minister who sighs over the sins of the 20th century. I'm like politicians and reformers who are sure all would be utopia if the rest of the world would only behave. I am like the outlaw safecracker who thinks society has wronged him. I am like the alcoholic who has lost all and is locked up. Whatever my protestations, am I not mostly concerned with myself, my resentments, or my self-pity? Selfishness and self-centeredness, that I think is the root of my troubles. Driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. I step on the toes of my fellows, and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt me, seemingly without provocation, but invariably I find that at some point in the past I had made decisions based on self, which later placed me in a position to be hurt.
So my troubles, I think, are basically of my own making. They arise out of myself, and I am an extreme example of self-will run riot, though I usually don't think so. Above everything, I must be rid of this selfishness. I must, or it kills me. God makes that possible. There often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. I've had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but I could not live up to them even though I would have liked to. Neither could I reduce my self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on my own power. I had to have God's help. This is the how and why of it. First of all, I had to quit playing God. It didn't work. Next, I decided that hereafter in this drama of life, God was going to be my director. He is the principal, I am his agent. He is the father, and I am his child. Most good ideas are simple, and this concept was the keystone of the new and triumphant arch through which I will pass to freedom.
So, I'm going to show you one more screen here, and it's our third step prayer. All of that stuff that we read, when I got to Alcoholics Anonymous, they told me to find myself in this book. The best way I know to find myself in the book, besides taking the steps, is reading it in the first person like that, because I'm not reading them about them anymore. Through the whole thing, I'm questioning myself. Am I like that? Is that what I'm doing? So when we go to the third step prayer, God, I offer myself to thee to build with me and to do with me as thou wilt. What am I doing? I'm completely surrendering to the care of the God of my understanding, right? Now, here's what I find really important, and here's a question to ask. Relieve me of the bondage of self, that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help of thy power, thy love, and thy way of life. May I do thy will always. Here's what I find very important. When I get to relieve me of the bondage of self and take away my difficulties, is it possible that through that I am asking God to relieve me of all of this stuff from page 60 to 62? Is that not the root of all of my defects of character? Will I discover more as I go through the inventory process? Absolutely. But are these not the root of my selfishness and self-centeredness? So as I surrender that to God, maybe these are some of the things that I'm asking him to relieve me of in the bondage of self. Just wanted to share that with you. There's something else that we really like reading in the first person. I do it, Trish does it, Lisa does it. I love it when Lisa gives me a call and we go over it and she starts reading it in the first person. And that's pages 84, starting with step 10 through page 88, and the process of step 11. And it all gets read in the first person, and what happens is I begin to see myself. I begin to see my truth. I am becoming part of. In pages 86 through 88, the word we is used 33 times, telling us that the first 100 were we, collectively, together. But the only way for me to get what the first 100 had was to do what the first 100 did. And I think that's the importance of me looking and finding myself in the book in the first person. I just wanted to share that with you since it was mentioned about going back and reading. So to incorporate one of Art's words, I lovingly challenge you to try and read the book in the first person like that where you can. And you can pretty much do it anywhere. There's some things you can't, but for the most part you can. And I truly hope you all will find yourself in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I see you smiling, Tim. Go ahead, say it. Go ahead, say it. I know you want to.
Yes, I actually am starting to like the word challenge. If you would see my notes over here, like, it starts out, well, let's just use initials. BS, being pushed, aggravated, frustrated. Then it goes, okay, now, and this is what goes through my head during this hour that I'm with you. You know, and then it says, I start to be happy during the process through fear of understanding. But it's like all those thoughts go through while I'm at a meeting. Because now my brain is being challenged. Because the truth is, everything in me says, I already know it or I don't want to. I mean, that's just being honest. You know, and I love the fact that, you know, being challenged because I am that selfish man. I am all about me, and this program has taught me to be just the opposite. Now I wake up with pages 84 through 86. Well, one, my sponsor made me, or challenged me to read that every morning, and I'm so glad that I do that because that's how I start my whole day. And now I'm not intending. But, yeah, I've always got something to say.
I know you do.
But I do like that word challenge because that's what it does to me. It's not making me feel a certain way. What it is getting me out of that box to learn this program that has a better life. And I love the fact that earlier you broke down the promises because those are what I want. If it wasn't for the promises, I would not be here. If I was just to muck and trudge through life as a sober alcoholic in my negative thinking, I wouldn't be here. I want that happy, joyous, and free. But, yeah, I appreciate that. Art, thank you for that word because the dictionary is huge. To have one word make a difference means something. Yeah.
Thanks, Timmy. Trish, you have two requests in the thing, and yes, we'll send out what they are is they are our own worksheets that we have produced most of the work on the page. I guess I just ought to show them, huh, Trish? So it's turned into combination foundations meeting and 4-step.
I just noticed that you're having the workshop, and I didn't want to do another pickle 4-step anyway because I threw my other one away out of anger. So that tells me I need to do it again. But, you know, I did suggest Kevin grab one of those because even though I threw it away, it was very, very educational because if it wasn't, I wouldn't have thrown it away.
So, you know what? It's even more educational when you do it and share it with your sponsor.
I know you had another 4-step workshop on October 6th.
We will be next month. The first Monday we will be doing the 4-step workshop. So, Trish, what page you want me to go to? Here, I'll go to this one, and I'm going to let Trish explain it because I've been talking so much.
I'm typing up my email. Hold on a minute.
Oh, okay, okay. I'll just go ahead and get the screen share up, and then you can.
And I do apologize if I flipped from 1 to 4.
It's all good, brother.
All right, thank you.
It's all good. I think the pages we really need to show them are these. But Trish is emailing these out to you. And what I would suggest, if you can hold off until we do our 4-step workshop, you go ahead and look them over, but if you can come and go to our 4-step workshop and let us present the whole thing to you, you will have a greater understanding because we take you through the whole thing. Plus we lay the foundation of 1, 2, and 3 along the way.
Can you send me the 4-step workshop date? I think she put it in the chat.
No, she's emailing it to you.
Okay.
Well, I put the date of the workshop in chat, which is the first Monday in October. Which, if I counted correct, because I'm looking at September's calendar, I think it's the 6th.
Yeah.
And I just emailed the papers out to you.
So,
So,
you want to explain these pages, Trish?
sure. So what you're looking here, the yellow page is what's in the book. Or part of what's in the book. We didn't do the whole thing because we ran out of room. But it lists the first 2 columns of Mr. Brown, Mrs. Jones, the employer, and what the resentment is. Good night, Lisa.
Night, Lisa.
What is on the right-hand side is our form that goes along with that. It looks the same, but it's blank, and there's no yellow on the background, so you can print off as many as you want, and it's not going to eat up all your color ink. And
let me get to the next one.
This would be our 3rd column, where you list, or where on page 50, on page 60-ish.
Page 65, column 3.
I was getting there. I don't know.
And the 7 areas of self listed on page 64. Trish, just read the thing. You're the one that typed all the instructions in there.
I unfortunately have to go. I just realized what time it was.
See you later, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
You're welcome. Come back and join us.
I will.
Love you, bro.
Okay.
So instead of breaking down all these columns on a single piece of paper, because if you're like me, if you have all these columns, when I ran out of room, I said, okay, I'm done writing. When I really wasn't. I still had more to do. I just wasn't willing and didn't want to look at myself. So what we do here is we take that 3rd column and we put it into sections on its own page, so I could use as much space as I need for each one. Go back a page, please, Jamie.
Yes, ma'am.
So when we're looking at the 3rd column, or what it affects, or it affects my what, we're looking at, on the upper left-hand corner, the 7 areas of self. And that's self-esteem, pride, ambition, security, personal relations, sex relations, and pocketbook, and they come right off of the bottom of page 64. And so as I'm doing this, I have to think about columns 1 and 2 while I'm writing column 3. So what is the resentment that I'm looking at? And when I'm looking at self-esteem, how do I see myself, or how do I feel about myself or what role have I assigned in this, with this person, and how is this resentment affecting me? So, and looking at Mr. Brown, his first resentment is Mr. Brown I've got a resentment against Mr. Brown because of his attention to my wife, so it's going to affect my self-esteem. I may be the best husband that she could have. Or the opposite of that, I'm the worst breadwinner there is. I don't show up for work, I don't bring home a paycheck, we're struggling. So I want to look at how it affects me in my self-esteem? How do I see myself? How do I feel about myself? And then moving on to pride, how I think you see me, or how I think this person, Mr. Brown, sees me. Others should or others should not. For example, others, in this case Mr. Brown, should not be paying so much attention to my wife. She's married, she's in a relationship. Why are you talking and spending so much time with her? You should not be spending so much time with her. Switch.
Okay, this is also where we begin to identify the fears before I switch the page. And most people just say, oh, it's fear, and throw the word fear out like a blanket, but we actually start to identify where the fears are and where they come from, and that gives us a lot of insight to it. Okay, there you go, Trish.
Okay, and ambition, the way we define ambition is what do I want to happen here? Still looking just at this one resentment. What do I want to happen with Mr. Brown and my resentment against his son with my wife? Sentences will start with I want. I want to have a happy, healthy relationship with my wife. Or the flip side of that, maybe I just want to be left alone, damn it. You can have her, I don't want her. And what are the fears associated with that? The fear of being alone, the fear of losing everything, the fear of losing her. And then moving down to security, what do I need to be okay? I need my wife to love and respect me. I need Brown to respect my marriage. I need Brown to stop talking to my wife and inviting her out for lunch. Personal relations. How is this relationship supposed to look? Wives should trust their husbands. Husbands should trust their wives. Friends should respect me, my marriage, and my family. Or co-workers should, since given that Mr. Brown may be a co-worker, we don't have that background information, but somehow they know each other. And then look at the fears that go along with the personal relations of this relationship. I'm not being accepted, I'm not being respected. Moving on to sex relations, my deep-seated beliefs in how real men and real women are supposed to be, because when we discuss sex relations in this part, we're not talking about the act of sex, we're talking more on how do I see how men and women should act in the world, in my life. So a real man or a real woman should or shouldn't, or in this case, a real man should not pursue another man's wife. Maybe a real man should hold the door for a woman, and maybe that woman wants to hold her own door. It depends on the situation. But in this situation, one option for the male-female relations or actions, men should hold the door for another man. Men should not pursue another man's wife. And what's the fear that goes along with that? It could be abandonment. And pocketbook affects my finances. Others should not go into my wallet without my permission. No one should go into my phone without my permission. And we bring those in because so many of us do our banking on our phones. If you get in my phone, I could lose everything. And then more applicable to the resentment of Mr. Brown and his attention to my wife. Maybe he asks her out for lunch and dinner all the time and doesn't have his wallet, doesn't have a means for paying, so he shouldn't ask my wife out and then ask her to pay for it. That's affecting me. That's going to affect my bottom line and how much I can pay for bills if she's going out for lunch with him. So what's the fear there? Financial insecurity or financial insecurity. I shut my recording off, by the way.
Yeah, I need to shut mine off. We'll leave it at that.